So everyone, please join me in welcoming food futurist Tony Hunter.
Thank you for that kind introduction. We've only got a small amount of time here today together, so what we're going to do, we're going to dive straight into looking at why you need to eat like your life depends on it. Now, have you ever thought to yourself, why do you simply accept that you are going to live maybe 85, 90 years and then you're going to die? Why do you accept that? I mean, the Bowhead whale lives for 200 years healthily. The Greenland Shark lives for 500 years healthily. Why don't we? We're made of the same information material, DNA, the same chemical building blocks, but we have vastly different health spans and lifespans. But what if we could live longer? Put your hands up if you would like to live healthily to 100. Anyone? Yes? Keep your hand up if you'd like to live healthily to 150. Healthily. And if you'd like to be I'll play that one again. If you keep your hands up if you'd like to be immortal healthily. A few people, not necessarily many. Isn't it funny? Even if we have the opportunity, some of us might not like to live forever. Personally, I'd love to live forever. I'd like to see what the future turns out to be. Because if I didn't want to be immortal, I probably wouldn't be a good futurist, would I? Because I wouldn't want to see what the future would hold. Now, the field of longevity is absolutely the hottest topic in human nutrition. Now, longevity is used traditionally to mean how long we live, but it's also now coming to mean how long we live healthily. Because what we're all about now is not just living longer, but increasing our health span. That difference between how long we live healthily and when we die. At the moment, in advanced industrialized countries like Australia and the US, the gap is around 12.5 to 13 years. In Thailand and Singapore, it's around 9 to 10. So there's still a big gap in there in that health span. And that's why most of the research going now into longevity and healthy aging is about increasing our health span. What we want is sort of, oh, sorry, just a minute, my watch. I've got 6 months to live. I won't be back next year. That's what we want. We want our health to do this and then drop off the cliff. Who wants to live with 10 to 12 years of mental decline and physical decline? We need to make sure that we're pushing that health span up towards our lifespan. And this is not something that's new. 2,500 years ago, the Greek philosopher Herodotus spoke of Macrobian Ethiopians having basically a well and the water of which gave them added longevity. The first mention of the fountain of youth. More recently, we have a picture of Dorian Gray, where a picture in his attic ages and declines, but he stays looking youthful and looking healthy. And it turns out to be more of a curse than he thinks it will. And even more recently, we have the curious case of Benjamin Button, where he ages backwards. And it comes up with the famous phrase that life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. So they say that there's only two things that are certain in life: death and taxes. I can't give you any good news on taxes, but maybe we can do something about aging and maybe even death. So what causes aging? What is aging all about? Now, there's several theories on that. And one of the theories is that aging is a disease. And if aging is a disease, we can cure diseases. So can we cure aging? One theory from Dr. David Sinclair is that aging is simply a loss of information. In other words, as our cells keep dividing, as we keep growing, our software, our DNA and the way it's expressed becomes corrupted. And it's that corruption which drives aging. So if we can reset the software, can we reset our age? And if we look at what's involved in aging and what contributes to it and what can we do about it, the research really falls into 3 different levels. The first one is lifestyle. And the first one there is mindset. If you believe, as I said, that you are going to die at 85, you will probably die at 85. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So having that mindset that no, I'm going to continue to live is one of the most important things we can do. You've probably heard so many times the power of the human mind. Food and nutrition, next on the list. Supplements, exercise, sleep. Now, when we go on to our next level, we start talking about medicine. So therapeutics, age reversal, human donors for like heart donors, liver donors, animal donors. We've seen talk about have your own personal pig donor. Not quite sure about that one. Organ replacements, and maybe even becoming more machine than we do human. At level 3, we start getting into the realms of possibly science fiction at the moment, but in 50 years, who knows? Body backups. We have a clone that we can back up. Mind backups to the cloud. They're already working on that. Preservation. Talked about clone backups. But we're not going to talk about those more long-term ones, more speculative, high-tech ones that are not related to food. What we're going to talk about is food and nutrition. We're going to use my lens model. So lifespan, accelerated by nutrition and supplements, and accelerated by AI, sensors and quantum computing, is going to give us an increased health span. And that food and nutrition we'll see is how important that is as a foundation for healthy aging. Professor Voltalongo certainly feels that way. And he says, basically, the best thing and the cheapest thing you can possibly do is to change your eating habits. There's nothing else you can do that will have as much return on your investment as changing your eating habits. We need to go from where we are today to seeing food as a source of wellness, not a source of illness. At the moment, everything's about how diets are making us sick. Diets can also help us. But looking at that, what is the basis of a healthy aging diet? Well, the science says plant-based foods, partly from a protein point of view because they contain low amounts of what's called branch chain amino acids. So certain amino acids that if you eat too much of them, activate pathways that accelerate your aging. So as a basis, as a foundation, plant-based foods. They also contain lots of beneficial products, one of which is polyphenols, which is of course all the nice colours you see in all of your fruit and vegetables. And very good sources of that are things like blueberries, raspberries, grapes as well. And these polyphenols, they can act by reducing inflammation and improving cellular repair to give you a much better health. And of course, resveratrol, one of these, is most famous for being found in red wine. Now, unfortunately, you would have to drink about 2 bottles of red wine to have much of an effect. Now, some people do think that is a good idea, but I've got to tell you that the alcohol consumption is probably going to counteract any benefits of the resveratrol. Another polyphenol is something called quercetin, which is found in capers, which is, of course, the flower of the caper bush. Might have had with your smoked salmon or your fish of some sort. And who here would like to find out whether their coffee is good for them or not? Anyone? Yes? Coffee? Well, yes, you're in luck. 2 to 4 cups of coffee on a regular basis has been shown to increase your health, longevity, your health span. So if you're drinking coffee 2 to 4 cups a day, you're doing well. And particularly if you drink them in the morning, apparently. The best correlation is people who drink their 2 to 4 cups in the morning. I still need one late afternoon, I'm afraid. Now, I've talked about some of the products that food products we should eat, but how about our pattern of eating? Now, one of the best scientifically researched ways to improve your health span and your lifespan is fasting. Anyone here fasted before? How? Now, kick your hands up if you really enjoyed it. Well, a couple of people enjoyed it, that's good. But generally, most people don't enjoy fasting. So what you can do though, and this company called Prolon has done, they have a fasting mimicking diet. So it uses biological stealth to fool your body into thinking that you're fasting when you're not. And fasting, of course, cleans out all the junk in your system. When food's abundant, your body goes, why should I bother recycling anything? I mean, I've got plenty of stuff coming in, no worries. Uh-oh, times are tough, I better get the recycling going. And it gets the recycling going and it cleans out all the old stuff, the damaged stuff, and resets everything. Now, the people at Prolon say after 3 rounds of their 5-day fasting, you can have a 2.5-year reduction in your biological age. Because as we know, there's your chronological age and your biological age. And of course, you want your biological age to be as low as possible. So that's what you can do with fasting. Another major effect on our healthy aging is our microbiome, which is, of course, all the viruses, bacteria, and fungi and everything that live on and in our guts. Now, 95% of those are found in our gut. We're actually about 1-to-1 human cells to microbial cells. So if you're just feeding the human cells, you're only getting half the story. And one of the big benefits of having a microbiome is we can extract a lot more nutrition from our food than we could without them. Particularly if we consume products, plant-based products, high in fibre. Now, the bacteria can digest that fibre and make short-chain fatty acids. And they function as messenger molecules. They can help with cell repair, they can reduce inflammation, which is a major cause of accelerating aging. And so if you really want to do something for your gut microbes, eat plenty of fibre. So now we've said, what should we eat? What shouldn't we eat? Sugar. Why? Yes, we know about diabetes and stuff like that, but what happens is when you have excess sugar in your bloodstream, it forms what's called AGES products, AGES, advanced glycation end products, which is caused when the sugar in your blood reacts with fat, protein, and DNA to form a sludge which drives inflammation, which affects your aging. So we need alternatives to sucrose. A very interesting company out here, they're actually using an enzyme to turn sucrose into fibre. So not only getting rid of something, but they're actually creating something good. But this is an example of what we can use. This is a product called allulose. It's a rare sugar, and it tastes almost as sweet as sucrose, and it also has some longevity enhancing effects as well. And if we look at even further on, how about a product called brazine, which is a sweet protein, 2,000 times sweeter than sugar. It's metabolized like a protein, has no effect on your blood glucose, and also has, again, some anti-inflammatory and other effects. So if we look at what we can do with our foods, getting rid of as much sugar as possible is the best thing you can do. I mean, I love, anyone else like barbecue sauce? Where in your country you get barbecue? I love barbecue sauce. 46% sugar. So my bottle's half sugar. Everywhere you look. sugar is just everywhere because as humans we love it, but we shouldn't. Now, we've looked at what we can do with our food and the natural level of some of these beneficial products that are in those foods, but we can also use supplements to get therapeutic doses of these products so that we can maybe improve what we can do in terms of our healthy longevity and aging. And we've talked before about resveratrol, so you can certainly get resveratrol tablets. And we talked about quercetin. And another one is berberine, which comes from golden seal or the barberry. And that, apparently, they say, will mimic the effects of fasting again, so that you've got the effect of fasting without actually having to go into strict calorie reduction. So let's say that we follow all these rules and we take our supplements and we eat our food. Who here knows exactly how much protein, fat, salt and everything they ate so far this week or even today? I follow this stuff. I have a smart ring, I have a watch, everything. I can't follow that. That is where bio-wearables come in, because we need to know whether what we're doing by changing our diet is actually having an effect or not. And this is the Samsung Galaxy Watch 8, which I have on here. Now it does all the usual stuff, right? Heart rate, sleep, yada, yada, yada. But it does two very, very interesting things. One is it measures the ages products in our bloodstream. So it tells us, are we getting too much of these ages products from sugar in our blood or from eating lots of fried foods also produces ages products. So it does the ages index. And the other one it does is you can actually put your thumb on the bottom of the watch, hold it there, and it will tell you whether you've eaten enough fruit and vegetables or not by measuring what they call the beta-carotene under your skin, which is the breakdown product of our nice coloured polyphenols. So that gives you enormous amount of information, and that's at the cutting edge. But the real mover are smart rings. This is the Rincon 2. It weighs 2.5 grams, 2 millimeters thick, 10 days battery life, and it measures all sorts of things. Now, if we look at what's going on in Thailand and Singapore, in Singapore, over 50% of people have a health wearable device. It's 48% in Thailand. So we're seeing enormous take-up of bio-wearables to actually monitor our health and our nutrition. And one of the things that's really come into the fore at the moment is continuous glucose monitors. Now you might say, Tony, they've been around for ages. Correct, for diabetes. This is looking to our health, where you don't need to know whether it's 4.5 or 4.7 on the millimoles of your blood sugar, whatever. You don't need to know that. You need to know whether something spikes your blood glucose or not. So these continuous glucose monitors are now there for our health. We also have this one from Epicor Biosystems. It measures your sweat. So it'll measure your hydration status, it'll measure your blood glucose, it'll measure your electrolytes, and in the future, they're going to do zinc, iron, vitamin C and vitamin D, all from your sweat. In the future, we're going to have everything from smart tattoos to ingestible devices producing huge amounts of data on our health. But if you don't fancy wearing something all the time, how about a smart mirror? You can stare into the mirror for 30 seconds. It will measure your heart rate. It will give you your skin age. It will give you a wellness score. It will tell you your body mass index, all sorts of things, simply by staring into the mirror. And if you don't fancy staring into the mirror, we've got the Withings Smart Scale. It measures 60 biomarkers. It has 6 zones. It will tell you about your fat and muscle composition. Have you too much visceral fat, which is very bad for you, of course. And they say we'll even give you a longevity index on how you're going with your diet, your health and nutrition. So you're getting that feedback. And we're already seeing companies like Human Nutrition Inc. and another company called Jivi using AI to crunch all of this data. Because like I said, it's so hard to make sense of all this data. I'm a food technologist. I struggle trying to make sense of all this data. So if you've got an AI that will take all your health and nutrition data into account, and your genomics, and your microbiome, then you've got something that will be very, very useful to you in monitoring how you are aging and aging healthily. And AI is going to have a massive effect, a massive accelerating effect on our lens technologies, partly because it can deal with these huge data sets that we're going to generate on our health and nutrition. And it will find patterns and answers to questions we didn't even know we had. And all of this is not just for the elderly. What we're seeing is it's now across all generations. We've got Gen Zs and millennials going, I need to start thinking about aging healthily now, not wait till I retire and then worry about how bad things have got. And when we look at it from a country point of view, Singapore, yet again, they are treating healthspan as an opportunity. They're saying we have a declining, aging population. How do we turn healthspan into something that will enable us to have a healthier population, working population, for longer? Not only that, but by doing that, if they can get that healthspan, lifespan gap down, then the financial burden on the country is a lot less. As we know, at the moment with aging, as people get older, they consume more and more health resources. And the other thing we know about aging, why do we want to stop it? Aging is a known cause of death. So if we can cure that, we've got a chance. A company, an example that's happening right now is Chi Technologies across in Singapore. They will follow all your biomarkers and everything else over the years and tell you just how you are going and how your healthspan journey is progressing. Now, we're just at the very, very start of our longevity journey to extend our healthspan. But we cannot overestimate the importance of food and nutrition as a foundation for a healthy life, healthy healthspan. At the moment, we're in the unfortunate position of, if that's the health aisle in the supermarket, what does it say about all the other aisles in the supermarket? And as we go towards 2050, what is all of this going to mean for the food industry? Well, I hate to tell you, by 2050, there will be no food industry. Why? Because if people are eating for their health, what industry are food companies in? Food companies are in the health industry. And we're seeing this long-term convergence of food and health. And as we look to this foundation of food and health, we can get that in place, and maybe we throw in some of those other level 2 technologies like organ transplants, or level 3s like mind backup. We're heading for a world where aging will not be inevitable. Aging will be something we can manage. We are heading towards a world where food will be a source of wellness, not a source of illness. Thank you.